You know, we take grocery stores, mechanics, hardware stores, we take them all for granted.
Yep, everything at the tip of our fingers.
However, when there's a collapsed society, which will happen, there are certain skills that we must have.
So here are 15 things that you will need to survive.
Number one, water sourcing.
Water is essential, so if you're able to, dig a well.
Yeah, and if you can't dig a well, if that's not possible, obviously you can catch water from streams and rivers and lakes and even rainwater catchment. But you're going to actually have to be able to tap into that water and even more so learn to be able to filter out because you have to have the water.
Number 2, gardening. It takes a lot of practice to learn to grow a garden.
Yeah, but it's vital. You have to have that food. And I'll tell you, there's actually nothing more rewarding than actually taking a harvest of something you planted. But you got to practice, and you got to get out there and do it because you'll never learn. You'll never be able to do it unless you learn and actually try. Number 3, seed harvesting.
Have you guys ever bit into a juicy fruit and wanted to see those seeds and you're like, oh my goodness, you're going to save them? That is something you're going to have to learn to do.
Yeah, and actually what's scary is a lot of the seeds from the grocery store, a lot of the fruits you get, if they're from out of the country, the seeds aren't viable. So stocking up on seeds now is a good idea, but even more so if you actually grow a tomato and you need to learn to be able to harvest the seeds from that tomato so you can continue going year after year, because if there's a collapse, nobody's going to be selling you more seeds. In fact, they'll be a hot commodity. So you have to be able to learn to harvest the seeds to plant next year's garden.
Number 4, foraging. We already have food in the forest growing for us.
Yeah, that's actually one of the coolest things when we moved on a property years ago was finding food out in the forest, from berries to fruit trees.
Mushrooms.
And yeah, mushrooms. Oh yeah, mushrooms are the best. But all you have to do is learn what to look for, and there's actually some very simple techniques to be able to make sure what you're going to eat is not poisonous. Number 5, animal husbandry. It's one thing having chickens, and having chickens which are delicious, or the eggs you produce for us. Thank you, chickens. That's great. But husbandry, you must be able to actually mass produce those chickens because they only last a few years. And if you don't have more chickens coming on down the line, well, you're going to soon be out of chickens and chicken eggs.
So you got to find the male for your chickens or your goats or cows or even rabbits. Number 6, hunting. It doesn't matter if it's large game or small game. There are lots of animals that you can hunt.
Yeah, and it takes just a lot of practice, patience, and more practice to be able to understand how the animals think and where they go to for food and water and such to be able to do it. But hunting obviously can sustain you indefinitely if you know what you're doing. Number 7, butchering.
Hunting is a big part of it, but processing the meat is another thing that you need to understand and learn.
Yeah, if you don't do it the right way, you can mess it up.
You can.
We've done that before.
Yes.
We lost a lot of deer meat. Be able to actually butcher yourself, because even though there's a lot of places people will butcher for you, if we're talking about a collapse, you're going to have to be able to do these things on your own. And it takes a lot of practice to do this the right way.
Number 8, fishing.
Are you a good fisher person?
I'm okay. I love to fish though.
Yeah, me too. And I'll tell you, I've actually had years of heartache of trying to fish, but it finally started catching on. And I didn't do it by reading a book, but actually just practicing. But you know, the best way is to find some old angler. And sometimes they won't give you tricks, but I found that sometimes they will. If you get the right person, they'll actually show you what to throw in the water and how to do it and everything else. But obviously, fishing, right?
Yeah, if you live near water, fishing is a big thing.
Number 9, cooking.
You have your fish, and you have your rabbit, and you have all these things that you've hunted, and you don't know how to cook. It's really essential that you learn to cook.
And more so, you're not going to be cooking on your electric range. You're not going to be using your gas oven indoors, because a collapsed society, you're going to be cooking outside.
Using those skillet pans you have in the cupboard.
Right, actually cast iron.
Oh yeah.
Because that's the thing, especially if you are cooking outside, cast iron, you're going to really appreciate the value of what cast iron is all about.
Number 10, fire starting.
Are you good at starting fires?
I'm okay.
Yeah, it's something we do. We really try to impress on our children to know how to start fires. And we're not talking about their habits of arson. We're talking about obviously starting fires to cook in the backyard. You know, and I remember many of days as a novice just trying to figure out how to start a fire and get it going. But you know, once you figure it out, it's actually really easy to get it going and maintain it too. So learn how to start fires. 11, making soap.
People have been doing it for thousands of years.
What, go to the store and buying like Zest?
That's what I do.
Yeah, making soap is actually easy. It encompasses 2 things. One, using the coal and ashes from your stove, like your wood stove, for example, or your outdoor fire, and the fat from the animal that you hunted. which, learn how to do it, use those two components. You actually make all your own soap, all you need.
Number 12, hand washing clothes.
That is probably the biggest convenience that we have, is actually having a clothes washer, which, by the way, is very rigorous and hard on your clothes too.
It is.
Clothes, modern clothes don't last very long anyway, but it's going to be even worse with using a regular washer. What else can we do?
Well, we have a washboard. We do that, and then we also have a foot washer. So
Yeah, exactly. We have the washing ball, and a lot of people will do take a cooler with a plunger. Hopefully, it's not the same plunger they plunge in their bathroom. That's just
a new one, please.
Crappy clothes there. But there's all kinds of tips and tricks to doing it. In fact, a lot of your clothes last longer by hand washing, not simply just because your manual process is not as hard as the washer, but the soap actually gets embedded into the clothes.
Yeah.
And the regular washing machines do so well, it strips the soap out. So to get soap put back in again, that's why they put fabric softeners in. That's what they're all for. So learning to wash your own clothes, obviously you're going to have to do this because they're going to get really stinky soon. Number 13, first aid.
When crap hits the fan, there's not going to be any kind of help. No doctors, no ambulance, no EMTs, none of that. You'll have to learn this on your own.
And learn it now. Because if you don't learn it now and practice, when those emergency events do happen, you're not going to remember what to do. You're going to be frazzled as it is. So you have to be able to practice and know what's going on. And of course, we're starting to put videos out for that too.
We are.
So really try to be ready when it comes to first aid, because emergencies can happen anytime, especially when crap hits the fan.
Number 14, maintenance.
I'm guilty. I take my car down to get repaired.
We do.
But I used to love working on my car in my younger years, when I had more time, when I could actually get into awkward positions under the car and stuff. Those days are mostly gone now. But it's not even just your car, but maintaining.
Everything.
How much stuff do we have to maintain here?
It is so rough some days.
It is really rough.
The to-do list is very long.
Yeah, and the thing is, well, guess what? If crap hits the fan, you're not going to be going out to do your regular job of an office somewhere. So your job will be maintenance, as well as all these other things too, like gardening and hunting and stuff. But if you don't have the skills and the books perhaps to help you through it, you're in trouble. And the tools.
The tools, yes.
Yeah, you need obviously very specific tools for certain types of things, but you have to learn how to do the maintenance and repair things. Number 15, sewing. I learned to sew in the military.
He did. He's actually he's better at it than I am.
Yeah, using the sewing machine.
Yeah.
We'd love to get one of those manual ones. What are they called? Trindle or something?
I don't know.
I'd love to have one of those to try it out and actually use it, but we don't. But hand sewing, you can always do that too. It just takes forever.
It does.
But obviously, your clothes are going to rip. Your clothes are going to wear out. You don't necessarily need to make new clothes when crap hits the fan, but repair it with patches and such.
Definitely, if you know how to do a patch or sew on a button. I'd be surprised at how many people don't even know how to sew on buttons.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not really difficult. You just kind of have to know how to do it.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the sewing skills, go for it. All right, there you go. So there's your 15 skills you must have when crap hits the fan. Not if, but when it hits the fan, because in a lot of cases, there's not going to be people helping you out with this stuff. So you have to be able to master these things. So get started now.
Exactly. Watch the videos, get the books, do what you can now, learn it.
What would you add to that list? Because obviously there could be far more than 15 items there, but there's our 15. Okay?
Yep.
All right, thanks for watching.
Thanks for guys.